Hello there. I'm going to talk today about the subject which, as far as I can make out, is of more interest than any other to all the people who subscribe to me or subscribe to anyone else probably. And it's called How to Get a Job. Most people who try to get jobs really don't have a clue as to how to go about it. But the other day I received a letter from somebody who has taken the trouble to find out and has done a better job than most people who try to get jobs. The first thing that he's done is that he has taken the trouble to learn about the principles. He learnt from me, and he's written to say one of the first things I remember discovering about how to get a job is that you should always ensure a CV is accompanied by a well-written cover letter. And so he wrote to me and said, "Can you advise me on whether my letter is any good?" That's something worth remembering. I suspect I've missed a great many opportunities because I didn't believe I would have a chance. I suspect that most people don't believe that if they write to me they will have a chance of getting a reply. But anyhow, we have a gentleman called Stanley Uduemo, and I'm going to apologise if I've got his name wrong, of Iota, who is from, and I'm going to have another look at his name down at the bottom, he is from Nigeria. It's Oyovota, I think. Anyhow, Stanley, I apologise if I've got your name wrong, but at my age, what can you expect? So Stanley thought, what can I possibly lose by sending this letter to Drayton to see what he says about it? And how wise he was, because I do try to reply to every message I get, although I get an awful lot. And in this case, I was quite fascinated. I was fascinated not only because he'd taken the trouble to do a little bit of study, but he'd gone beyond that. He'd taken the trouble to remember something else I said, which is that the people who you're writing to get a job from are far more interested in themselves than they are in you. This may sound a blinding glimpse of the obvious, but I can tell you that 99% of the letters that are sent out by people to get jobs are all about themselves. They're all about why they want the job and why it's exciting to them and so on. They very rarely think what the prospective employer is thinking, which is, why should I employ you? And I have to say that to a large extent, Stanley has done a pretty damn good job of giving reasons why they should employ him. The company in question is Pernod Ricard, the French company, and what Stanley has done, again, which most people don't bother to do, he has done his homework. He has found out all about Pernod Ricard. And quite frankly, if I was the guy that he was writing to, I would give him a try. And the reason why I would give him a try, apart from the things that I've told you already, is right at the beginning of his letter. He begins by saying, "Dear Andre," the man he's writing to is Andre Muller, who I suspect is South African. Because he's in Cape Town, one of the very nice cities I've had the pleasure of visiting. And he starts by saying, "I want to help PR increase its market share in Nigeria." Nothing particularly original about that. And nothing wrong with it. Because that's what Andre wants to do. He wants to increase the market share, and I assume the profitability of Pernod Ricard in Nigeria. And then he starts with a great first sentence. Would you like someone so keen to work for you that I will gladly work for nothing while you see what I can do? How might I have changed that? I might have said how long I would work for nothing, because he doesn't say that at the beginning. How might I have changed the heading? I might have said, can I help PR increase its market share in Nigeria by working for you for nothing? I might have said that. I'm not here, like Lord God Almighty, to tell you exactly where you're right, exactly where you're wrong. Or even, I don't even believe that I'm always right. This is a sad piece of information that came my way quite early on in life, which I repeatedly forget. Then he goes on to say, my ability to develop relationships and a large database of contacts that I have developed during the course of my sales career, plus my being able to coordinate, motivate and lead a sales team would be an asset for Pernod Ricard and make me a good fit for the role of territory manager. Stanley, this is not a very good paragraph. It's too long, far too long. Let's see how many words we have here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. By the way, if you're interested in research, 25 words is about the place where most people lose interest in reading anymore. 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40. People are losing the will to live. 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51. Several of them have died. Yeah. Look, the easiest length of sentence for people to read is 8 words long. Beyond about 25 words, people find it really hard to remember what you were saying at the beginning of the paragraph. The average length of sentence, that is, if you want to be easy to read, should be about 12 words. Yeah? So, and the problem is not just that the paragraph is long, the problem is that there are several thoughts in there. 1, my ability to develop relationships, that's 1. A large database of contacts during the course of my sales career. Now you see, Mr. Muller does not know that anything about Stanley, so he doesn't know that he's had a sales career. I think that would be rather interesting. Then the fact that he can coordinate, motivate and lead a sales team would be an asset for and make me a good fit. So there's about 7 ideas in that paragraph. Yeah. Furthermore, the paragraph is written from the point of view of Stanley, my ability I have developed. I suspect that that paragraph should actually have been following on from the previous paragraph, while you see what I can do. And I might say something like, am I worth employing, or is it worth giving me a chance? Well, here are some reasons why you might find it worthwhile. This is not exact copy, but number 1, I've worked in sales. I know what it takes to sell people. 2, I know how to coordinate, motivate and lead a sales team. 3, I've got a large database of contacts. 4, I'm rather good at developing relationships. And then there's something here. I'm going to stop there. So I've done that with that paragraph, but I'm going to come back to it. Then it goes, Pernod Ricard is a great company to work with its rich history and its 3 key values, of which entrepreneurial spirit is one. As a prospective employer, I immediately say, this guy has done his homework, and I can promise you that most of the other people who write will not have bothered. As someone who has started a business and grown it from sales of Naira 2,500 Naira to 1 million Naira in 3 years. That is one value that I totally cherish, along with mutual. That's a bit of bullshit about totally cherish, you know. But what is not a lot of bullshit is to say, I would have probably, after the paragraph I've just described, I would have put another one that said, but above all, I've actually started a business myself and grown it from sales of so-and-so to so-and-so and so-and-so. If you want somebody who has that sort of practical experience, then I hope you'll give me the chance to see you. And then the next paragraph I think is fine, you know. Maybe I might not have phrased it the same way, even though Pernod Ricard is the 2nd largest spirits and wine company in the world. It is almost like a startup in Nigeria, and I'd be honoured to be a part of its growth here. This phrase, I would be honoured, is one that's very, very popular with people. Personally, I think it's well over the top, but nobody's going to object. And then he shows once again that he's done his research. and with PR's net sales up by 12.7% in Africa as of so and so, I want to contribute to growing that further, while developing the strategic partnership PR Nigeria has with CFAO in terms of distribution. I don't know what CFAO is, but again, he's done his homework. Quite simply, he hasn't written this, I would have said quite simply, I want to contribute to helping you have, you don't have to keep on saying PR, it's you, Andre, have a higher percentage of the billion naira wine and spirits market. Again, he's done his research, he knows how much the market is. And then he says, while I lack in not having experience. Now this thing about this whole paragraph, because I'm not going to go into, it needs to be broken up again, but that is a paragraph which should really be much earlier on. It's answering the question the guy's thinking is, why should I see you, which I talked about at the beginning. I'm not going to completely rewrite this for you, Stanley. I'm going to try and show you what I would do with it and the order that I would put things in. Stanley, if you sit down over there in Lagos, which I understand is a tricky place to live because I had a partner who worked there for quite a while. You sit down and have another go at it and send it back to me and I'll send it back to you. Okay? If you do it in the next 12 hours. How does that suit you? Then it says, and this is something else I might have fitted in, instead of just saying the culture of Pernod Ricard is known, blah, 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 I would have said something like, there is another reason why I'd like to work for you, and it's to do with your culture. Yours is known to be one of the best in the world, and your various CSRs show how much you care for your communities. In particular, I've been so impressed by your involvement in the Safe Roads for Youth initiative. I do not like the word awesome. Awesome is something to do with when you see God descending from clouds, but again, people who don't know how to write use it all the time. And then I hope I can get a chance to be a part of this great institution. I think probably I'd slightly have changed that a little bit and said, whether I actually get the job or not, I really hope to get a chance to be a part of this great institution. So, and that you will give me the opportunity to have an interview. Thank you very much for reading this. And his PS is fine, you know, it's not particularly clever, but his PS, we know that we should always say in our PS the most important thing. PS, just to remind you, I'm very happy to work for 1 month, and he should have said it was 1 month at the beginning, to prove myself and show that I can grow PR Nigeria's sales. There is now a PS to what I've just said to you, because Stanley then sent me another little note when I said I was going to review his letter. And he said things in the note that he should have said in the letter, in my view, at some point or somehow. He said, I have been able to develop selling skills through books and actually selling. This skill got me my first job with Standard Chartered Bank, a position that required a degree, and from being a direct sales rep 4 years ago, I now lead a sales team of my own. That to me, to anybody who's intelligent looking to employ somebody, is very, very important. It isn't really mentioned in the letter. And I would have really developed, Stanley probably tried to keep his letter as short as he could. You don't have to. I've said it many, many times. You've got to make it interesting. It doesn't have to be short. It's got to be relevant and interesting. So at some point in that letter, and I'm not going to go through it again to see where it should be, Stanley will have to work that out for himself. I would have said something like, the one thing I've learned in my X years in business is that if you can't sell, you can't succeed. So I have spent years trying to develop my selling skills through books and actually selling. This skill got me my first job with Standard Chartered Bank. Now, most people want you to have a degree, and I think he may have to cover this. I would mention Standard Chartered Bank. A pause at this point. The reason is very simple. It's because one of my colleagues rang me up, as he does every day between 9 and 10 o'clock, for me to review what we're supposed to be doing and to make rude remarks about his copy, as I'm doing now, about Stanley's copy. Okay, I would have mentioned Standard Chartered Bank because that is one of the great companies in Africa. And if you've worked for them, you should say so. Yeah? In the letter, even if you've got a separate CV. And I might have said, I have to make a confession now, because people quite like it if you're honest. My job with Standard Chartered Bank really required me to have a degree. But I got it nevertheless because I proved that I could sell. And from being a direct sales rep 4 years ago, I now lead a sales team of my own. That's very important that he leads a sales team. Look, I don't know Andre Muller. I imagine Andre must be damn good because he's got a job at Pernod Ricard, South Africa. If I were Andre Muller, I would give Stanley an interview. That's all I have to say. Thank you for writing to me, Stanley. And thank you to everybody who's bothered to watch this. I hope you will show it to anybody you know who's looking for a job. I know a lot of you have relatives, sons, daughters, grandmothers. Never too old to try, look at me. Are looking for jobs. So I hope you find it helpful. And thank you for joining me today on Saturday when I don't normally send out anything, but I thought, why should we stop trying to improve ourselves at the weekends? What do you think? Thanks.